Hey guys, it's Megalithic Maiden here, and I'm going to read out an article that I've recently written, and it's about an artifact that was found in Spain that is now housed in the Madrid Museum, located, of course, in Spain. And the artifact I'm going to be talking about is called the Lady of Elche, and I'm just going to read straight down through the article, so it may sound a bit strange since what I'm saying is exactly what I wrote in the article. So just wanted to let you guys know that. Lady of Elche, a fertile femme fatale. Many of us have heard of the famous Lady of Elche and are intrigued with her mystifying appearance and the strange mystery surrounding her origins. In reality, not a whole lot is known about the bust of this grand lady. However, some things we do know are that she was found in 1897 on a private estate, which is now an archaeological site called La Alucidia, and this site is located a few miles south of Elche, Spain. The artifact is thought to be Punic Iberian and is delicately carved out of limestone. It may have once been a full-bodied sculpture and is possibly dated to the 4th century BC. Some speculate that she is an embodiment of the ancient Carthaginian deity known as Tanit. Carthage itself was founded by the Phoenicians in approximately 814 BC. Tanit was a Phoenician and Punic goddess. She and her consort Baal-Hamon were the most important deities in Carthage. It seems that Tanit was known as a virginal goddess, a heavenly goddess of war, and to a lesser extent, she was also worshipped as a deity of fertility, as most female forms tend to be. Unfortunately, there is some disheartening evidence from the research of ancient Tophets located in Carthage, which shows that sacrifices may have been practiced as a ritualistic offering to both Tanit and her consort Baal-Hamon. The research on the topic of what type of sacrifices were offered to the deity is highly controversial, and so it's not factually possible to say for certain what kind of sacrifices took place. And I'm going to expand upon that idea. They found very young babies in these Tophet sites, and they don't know if it's stillbirth or, sometimes I think they found fetuses, but there are some older babies there. And it's interesting that I've read that if the fetus that was going to be offered as, let's say, a sacrifice, and it turned out to be a stillborn, then another sibling that is already living might have been sacrificed in the place of the fetus that was going to be sacrificed. But this is highly controversial, and I am no expert in the Tophets or the sacrifices and what was not done. Okay, so while traveling to Paris, France a few days back, I visited the Louvre Museum for the 3rd time, which houses some fantastic artifacts. And although it was my 3rd trip, I was still not able to see all the objects as that museum is huge. I also was advised to visit the Guimet National Museum of Asian Arts in order to peruse all the magnificent and majestic artifacts with the promise that the museum would not disappoint, and it did not. I saw some amazing and unexpected pieces. It was really lovely, and I'm glad I received the tip from my friend. As I happily scanned the museum, I saw so many items that were impressive, but in particular, my eyes were drawn to an enchanting object from the Chandraturga archaeological site in West Bengal, India. More specifically, the Chandraturga site is located about 50 kilometers northeast of Calcutta. The Chandraturga site, forgive my pronunciations, that the artifact arose from is very interesting and was called Gandharidae by Greco-Roman authors and is dated to possibly as far back as the 4th or 5th century BC, though most likely the site is even older. The Greek writer and geographer Ptolemy mentions the site in his book, the Geographia, circa 150 AD. And that dating, I'm not exactly sure if this is accurate, but because I had a few controversial datings, so I'm not sure about the date, but it probably is 150 AD. Other famous writers of the past also penned information about Chandraturga, including Plutarch and Diodorus. And Diodorus is also known as Diodorus Siculus, and he was from the 1st century BC. In fact, Diodorus wrote that no foreign force had ever conquered Gandharidae, which is Chandraturga, because of its strong elephant regime. He even described how Alexander the Great hastily fled from battle after hearing of the 4,000-strong elephant army he would have to face. The item in the museum display case, which had captured my attention so thoroughly, was a small terracotta plaque, and though small, it gave a very big impression. It was a beautiful piece having the usual light orangey fired earth color, but the design was quite the opposite. It was of a very unusual style, yet it was still easily recognizable as having been produced in the ancient Indian way, which often depicts voluptuous and curvy women wearing intricate clothing and jewelry designs. As I researched the Chandraturga artifact even more thoroughly, I discovered that the piece was not an anomaly, but is one of many known as the ladies with weapons as hairpins. Yes, you guys, you heard me right. And also described as ladies with auspicious hairpins by Bijan Mandal, UGC Senior Research Fellow, Department of Archaeology at the University of Calcutta. Bijan, please forgive me for mispronouncing your name. Okay. So, after examining the Chandraturga artifact in detail, I noted how very closely it resembled the engaging bust of the Lady of Elche. Both artifacts have wheels on the side of their heads, sport spiked headbands, and display beautiful jewelry hanging from the ear regions. As you see, the pair are also wearing very beautiful necklaces. The fact that both artifacts seem to have so much in common would be quite baffling unless they were portraying the same type of goddess figure, which I firmly believe to be the case in this instance. Since the unusual bicornet headgear contains weapons, it effectively cements the deity portrayed as one that could invoke tremendous power if she so wished. This was no pushover goddess, but one of war, one that may have gave even Alexander the Great a run for his money. We may speculate that these two feminine deities, skillfully depicted at La Alucidia site in Spain and the Chandraturga site in India, must have some specific ancient relationship to one another, as the complex set of symbols and designs shown on both artifacts statistically could not be simple coincidence. Now, if we look even closer at the detail of the Chandrake Tugar lady, we will note some unusual but distinct markings that may help us to further conjecture that she is indeed related to the ancient deity Tanit. On the forehead of the artifact is a clear-cut indication of an intended stylized crescent moon, which is a symbol associated with Tanit. If the Lady of Elche is a depiction of Tanit, which evidence indicates, then we know that the Lady of Elche would have also had a visage linked to war and violence. Most likely she would have been relegated some sort of sacrificial offerings as well. Also, the lady would have been related to fertility and regeneration of life, just as Tanit was. Now, with that information, we can then propose another link between the Lady of Elche and the lady with weapons as hairpins, as they both not only wear almost the exact same headgear, but both are deities of war, weaponry, and brutality. Thus they are deities related to death in some form or another. And last but not least, they are both connected to fertility, just like Tanit is. And the fertility aspect is easy to spot on the Chandrake Tugar artifact, and is prominently displayed by the beautiful blooming flower designs attached to her headwear. But, you guys, we mustn't forget that after the fire, new maps are drawn. When all the demise and destruction subside, no doubt the fertile femme fatales will begin the rejuvenation, regeneration, and renewal cycles, just as they always have and always will. Article by author J.J. Ainsworth, also known as Megalithic Maiden, February 2020. Thank you guys, and also I would like you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the bell icon, and maybe follow me on Facebook. I even have a Patreon page. If you have any questions about ancient artifacts, ancient symbols, ancient sites, those are my specialties. Those are my passion.